Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Indie Corner Radio. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got my awesome special guest. We had her last season, but she's come back this season for a brand new episode. And please welcome Victoria Vertuga. How you doing, Victoria?
I'm so good. Thanks for having me back. You can't get rid of me. I'm gonna keep coming around like a bad penny.
Oh, it's awesome.
With
I
you
can't
now.
I can't wait. That's awesome because we were talking about Cole Blows the Wind, I think the last time and
Yeah.
everything. And it's now like it came sort
Ta-da.
of like it got its premiere and it's
Yeah.
doing pretty well. I mean, are you happy with it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we just wrapped up our festival run, which was awesome. And then yeah, we're putting it out into the world. Like we're trying a little thing where we're just gonna do it direct through our website first and see what happens, and then put it on the traditional platforms in a few months down the line. So yeah, it's great. It's good. It's always nice to get to this step and like release it, right? Like let it be free, let it live and see how people respond to it and like get it out there.
Exactly. That's great. I'm
Yeah.
excited. So all right, let's go about a little bit backwards though and talk
Let's
about
do it.
some other stuff before we get back into that. But I I don't know if we talked as much about social media. I think we talked a little bit about the last time and everything, but I noticed you don't have a TikTok,
I
you know?
don't. I know. We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to do a TikTok for Cole was the win. I just, if I'm being perfectly honest, if I didn't have to have social media for like all the reasons that I have to have it in this business, I would not be that person. Like it is not. I just don't care. It is not for me. So yeah, TikTok. I haven't gotten on the bandwagon yet. So, but it is especially for filmmaking. Is I know a lot of people are having a lot of success, utilizing it. And obviously, ironically, it's like the most video friendly one. So you'd think of like a filmmaker would like it, but it's just fatigue really of like all the constant platforms.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you have like a Snapchat, or
Right,
whatever,
right,
which I
exactly.
don't think actors need one,
No, Snapchat
like,
not at all. No.
but I mean, I had what I was like, I don't even like this. Like, I don't know. Everybody just kept telling me it was almost like peer
I get
pressure.
it. Yeah, 100%. That's how they all are though. It's always like the new thing, and then some of them stick around forever. Like TikTok, like hit it and people love it. But there's always those ones too where it's like that doesn't really quite take off, right? And you're like, I'm not devoting all this time to this weird platform that's not gonna stick around.
I should have waited for Threads because it said
Mhm.
like if you take off Threads that you take off like Instagram,
Yeah,
you know? Like if you delete
I
your
know.
Threads, you delete your Instagram account. And I'm
Yep.
like, uh-oh.
Now you're stuck with them both. Exactly. So
Well,
now
now
we're
you're stuck with Threads because I don't want to delete because I like my
that's what I mean
Instagram.
because we like Instagram. So now we're all stuck with it. They got us all that way. They're like, haha.
I
They got
hated Instagram for the longest time. I literally
mm,
did. And then I don't know why it just kind of won
something
me
clicked for
over,
you.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I like
Facebook's still
Instagram.
my jam though.
Yeah, oh wait, Facebook. Yeah, so Facebook happened like when I was in college. That's when Facebook came out, and then like you used to just be for college kids, right? It was just for college kids.
Right.
So
It's
like,
just for
yeah,
college kids.
and then all of our parents came on, and we all like vanished and left Facebook. So I'm still on Facebook, but like not as much. I think Instagram is the one I'm on the most. Just because I don't know, whatever. We all kind of pick one that we like the best, right? And like that's where we go. So
And
yeah,
we mainly, but then I'm hearing all these people saying if you want to maximize your, popularity and whatever you're doing, that you need, LinkedIn, you need uh all these platforms and you need to be posting like 3 or 4 to
times a
five
day on every
posts a
single
day on
platform.
every
Yeah,
single one
I know.
and they all have to be different posts. I'm like, you
Right.
mean I have
Like
to
who has
make
time for
20
this?
posts a day just
Right.
to
Who
like
who
be
who has time to do
somewhat
this?
relevant, you
Yeah, it's
know?
a lot. It's a
It's,
lot. Hence
it
why, like for me, if I know, like I don't really necessarily enjoy that piece of it. You know what I mean? Like when it feels fun and you want to do it, that's one thing. But when it becomes like this tedious task, like one more thing on your to do list, right? Then it kind of gets like sucks the fun out of it.
Now, YouTube is a great
Yeah,
way to like show off people like your reels, and I saw
100%.
some of your reel stuff on YouTube, and then just that's awesome that you can get out there and everything like with that. So that
Yeah,
social media tool, I guess, in a way, I guess it's considered social media
sure.
for that.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll call. What
Call
I don't know
everything
what else it
social
would be.
media.
Yeah, exactly. It's all under that weird umbrella. So let's call it that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I usually use YouTube just as like a placeholder, like it's just a great kind of platform to send links of videos that you need to have up somewhere, right? It's so yeah.
Do you ever use it to like help yourself like learn more about acting or anything
Oh,
like
or
that?
like to look up other things. Yeah, or like if I honestly more than acting, not so much, but like more like, oh, my thing is broken, my like deep fryer is broken. How do I, like weird YouTube tutorials on like how to fix stuff like that for sure. It's great for that kind of thing.
It was
Yeah.
like I don't know. There's a newest South Park episode. And they use that as the
Yes.
example. I laugh so hard because I'm like,
Yes.
that's exactly true. That's like my dad uses it to fix like a bathroom or something, or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
But like, it's absolutely where we are right now. Where
That is where we are.
which is great. It's a good
What?
time. Like to go back to like, you're saying college, we just got Facebook and I'm pretty sure I'm about your age.
Yeah.
If not maybe older, I don't know. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like when we're there, like when I was growing up, all of a sudden like all my friends were bragging about that they had a Facebook and I didn't. I had my stupid MySpace,
Yep.
or whatever, and
Yep.
that was it. And then all of a sudden Facebook allowed everybody. But even before then, we didn't have anything like this.
Yeah. Well,
We had to like
I
figure it
miss
out.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. They actually have done studies too on our brains. So it turns out like our generation, the piece of our brain that stores data is smaller, but the piece of our brain that knows how to find things is bigger, like compared to our parents' generation. Because we don't need to retain anything. We just know how to figure it out, right? We know how to go on YouTube and find the answer, or go on the internet and find the answer to whatever it is that we need. So we don't retain as much. But like the piece of our brain that knows how to find things is larger. So it's crazy how what an effect it has on so many different ways that unforeseen.
But do you ever like miss the days when we didn't have any of this stuff,
Oh,
like
I
where it was
super
just
miss
gone?
those days. Or even like the very beginning, like when I was little, like, and I had like my first computer, and whatever. Like I miss like chat rooms. They were so probably like inappropriate and not cool, whatever. But like I miss like
There's
going
probably
in like,
some like 35-year-old
dude,
man talking to you.
without a doubt. And I'm like 8 in the chat room. But like whatever. I just miss like going into random chat rooms and like talking to people. Because what I miss is like what in I don't know. It feels like in early days everything is so agendaed now, and it's like they're always trying to feed you stuff, like so many ads, and like trying to get you to click on things, and it's become so divisive, and all
It's
these things,
clickbait.
all the algorithms, it's all whatever. Like back in the day there was none of that, right? It was just people. It's just like people trying to connect with people. Even MySpace, I feel like we judged MySpace unfairly, but there was like a kind of like a purity or like a simplicity to MySpace where it's just like, here's me and my code on my page, designing my, whatever, putting the music in the background on my page. And like, I don't know, it just felt like we were in it because we liked it and wanted to do it. And now it's kind of, again, back to like
Yeah,
something
you
we
had
all have
your
to
like
do.
what
And
top 8 friends
yeah,
or
your top
whatever,
eight. Yep.
and
Yep.
I remember a lot of mine were like the movies I was trying to get off the ground or whatever, so I just put
Love it.
those things in there. But yeah, I miss those days. I miss the days before. Like, yeah, I remember when the greatest thing was when I figured out you could print out lyrics to songs
Oh,
on the
so good.
computer. Like
Yes.
that was just to me that was like, oh my
Yes.
God, this is what I'm using the internet for, you know?
Yes. Look it up song lyrics. Yes. I
Yes.
love Genius where like it not only gives you the lyrics, it gives you like what it means or you know what I mean, like the slang or the whatever. Like that's even like next level. But yes,
I didn't know about that. That sounds
oh
awesome.
yeah. It's
That
it's
sounds
it's a lyric
genius.
site. Yeah, but so it has like the lyrics, but then also like everything that is, I don't know, like a saying or whatever, it'll have like a little thing that you click, mouse over it and it'll tell you like what it means or whatever in the context of, slang or that or the history of that artist or whatever the case. It's cool. You should now you have a whole new thing to go explore. So go go forth.
That's awesome. I like that. I don't I also like looking up like the meanings of songs, even
Oh,
though
totally.
like if you look up on Reddit, like everybody has a meaning to every song. Like, oh no, this is what it means, and it's the exact
Yep. They like
opposite of what.
argue over it. I love it.
Yeah.
Reddit is always a good time. Reddit threads are funny. I feel like sometimes I just like to Google like if somebody this is like a terrible thing to admit, but do you ever feel like you're the only one who like doesn't like something? Like you're the only one who doesn't get this movie or like this movie or like this TV show or whatever. Sometimes I'll literally Google like, am I the one who thinks this is like a fucking piece of shit? And I'll always end up on some Reddit thread of people like bashing something that agree with me. And I'm like, oh, it's nice to not feel alone at least.
Yeah. But then, 'cause Facebook is the exact same, except
Yeah.
people like there might be a mixture, and then
Yeah.
somebody doesn't like literally somebody deleted me because I said that there was some controversy with Britney Spears. Just that's all I said. Like I said a happy birthday to her, and then
And they
somebody
deleted you.
thought I was like making fun of her or something, I guess.
Yeah,
And
well,
I
see,
was
and
like,
that's the downside. That's where we've come to, where people can't just like have normal discussions or like disagree, or everyone's so ready to be offended at everything, right? Everyone is so like ready to fight and to assume that you mean something bad. There's that famous meme on the internet. It's like, I like oranges, and it's like, that means you don't like apples, and you failed to mention bananas. Like, did it? You know what I mean? It's like that kind of a thing where it can be ridiculous for sure. It's a yeah,
that goes
not
to the
fun.
whole apples and oranges, but
Yes,
like
yes.
it, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm just like I'm kind of tired of everybody and I mean I'll get upset at somebody dissing something, that I
Yeah, yeah,
like, but
yeah.
I won't be like deleting the person over it.
And we're all different, right? We have different opinions. Like, how boring would the world be if everybody agreed about everything all the time? Like, I don't know what happened to us where we take someone's disagreement as like a personal attack or like a sign of disrespect. And it's like, we have different opinions, we have different experiences. It's fine. That's what makes us cool. It's like, how boring of a life it would be, again, if like you're only surrounding yourself with people who mimic and parrot and agree with every single thing you think and say. Like, I think there's room
Right.
for
I
discussion.
mean yeah, I got deleted by a filmmaker once for actually disagreeing with him. And I found out that that was a thing he does. He blocks people who disagree. He wants nothing but yes people. And I was like, I don't understand that at all. Like, if you,
No.
I love to have, like, I'm non-political, so
Yep.
I don't have, I'm friends with, liberals, conservatives, everybody in between. I don't care.
Yep.
You're all the same as long as, you're nice
Yeah,
and
exactly. As long as there's some mutual respect, right? Like
yeah.
yeah, there's room for disagreement. We don't all have to agree. Like you can still respect somebody and disagree with them. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand any of that, but
Nope.
other people do, whatever.
Some
You do
people are very
you.
sensitive. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. I think it's probably a blessing that those kind of people deleted you anyway, right? You don't want to.
You think that, and then I'm a people pleaser. I don't know if you
Oh
are yourself.
no.
I'm a people pleaser, so I
Uh-huh.
get really I'm trying not to be, but it's really hard. Like I
Yeah.
haven't figured out a code to that. I don't know if you know any cheats to
Any cheats.
becoming not a people pleaser, but
Oh, I think
I am.
people struggle with that a lot. I don't know. In my business, it's not so much about people pleasing. It's just like I get rejected so much, and like it's so many opinions thrown at me all the time that I can't like. I mean, sometimes you take it personally, right? We're human, but I think you just develop the ability to like let it slide off you more because it's like it's impossible to please everybody all the time. It is literally impossible. And as a creative and an artist, like you don't want to, right? Like you can't possibly create something that every person is going to like. Like it's going to be I think the best things are polarizing. Like people love it or they hate it, and that's fine because you're like we can't possibly be for everybody, right? So
Hmm.
I think like just reminding yourself of that, like that's a them problem. It's not a you problem. Like people are gonna respond to you. Not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's gonna like your work. That's just part of life, right?
Well, have
You'll
you ever
find
gotten
you'll
like
find the
a
people.
really nasty message
Oh
or
my God,
like
all the
comment?
time. All the time. What's so funny is so like my last project, Lexi, right, was about this influencer who like moves into a house and she's kind of being bullied online, all this weird stuff's going on, and she's kind of starts spiraling. But she's also like it's a commentary on like social media and influencers and that whole
I love
thing.
Lexi.
Yeah, thank you. But like it's ironic because she's being like bullied online and people are talking all kinds of smack about her, but like the comments about like me and Lexi on like the trailer and stuff like that are so mean, and it's so funny to me. I'm like, this is very meta, like you're like it's about a girl who's like
You're
being
like
bullied,
you
and then you're like bullying me who plays like it's like so
you're
stupid.
bullying me because I'm playing that part, but
Right,
in real
right,
life, it's
right.
not you.
Right. It's so yeah, I get tons of weird stuff thrown at me all the time. So yeah, you kind of just like I think I don't necessarily seek it out, although sometimes I have a friend too. Sometimes it is funny to read like the bad stuff. Sometimes it's just I don't know how to explain it. Like people are nuts. So, but yeah, you definitely get. I mean, it's inevitable. You're gonna get hate stuff thrown at you all the time. You know what I mean?
I love that like Jimmy Kimmel had that little bit. I think it was
Yeah,
on
celebrities
Jimmy
making
Kimmel.
mean tweets.
Yeah, or
Yes,
they read the like the mean tweets,
that
and some of the stuff people said were horrible,
it's
and
so
they just
horrible.
one of them, I don't know who it was, but somebody like almost cried, it looked like, and because I think it was really live, like they weren't expecting this to like be
Yeah,
like that, and it was
yeah,
pretty harsh, and I was like, oh man, um,
yeah.
I don't know why people do. I I know when um and I'd love to talk to you about this because there's been a lot of controversy involving like a certain actress. I won't go into anything because I don't want to, whatever, but certain Hollywood actress who said some things in an interview about like the film that she's remaking.
Mm-hmm.
And if you people can probably take from whatever, I don't know if you know who
Mm-hmm.
that is or not, but she got a lot of flack for that because
Yeah.
she like pretty much went on a thing about that. And as a person who does, interviews and other things,
Yeah.
do you feel like sometimes you have to be careful what you say because like no matter what some one side or the other side could like sort of attack it?
Interpret it and yeah, I mean that kind of goes back to the yeah, you definitely do. I think it's so complicated, right? It's like I think if you lead with respect, then like that, then you're doing the best you can. I think it's if somebody wants to be offended by something you do or say, they're gonna find a reason to be offended by something you do or say, right? So again, I think that like as long as I am behaving in a way that I think is appropriate and I'm being respectful and I'm doing my best and I can't really worry about how people are going to interpret that or what flaws they're going to try to find. Because if you want to find something wrong with something I've said or done, I'm sure there's tons to find. But we're all out here doing our best, right? Like I don't know. Yeah.
It's true though. Like, I remember being on Twitter and I was defending an actor for
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and it's stupid me, but this guy was like, "I'm gonna go through all your, tweets and find something," and I'm like, "Why?" Like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
what is so wrong with people like that they
Yes.
will, and I don't think I said anything negative in any of my tweets. I ended up one day deleting that Twitter just because. It's like at one point I was sick of it. I was almost done. But then I came back. I have another Twitter page that I use, but
Yeah.
just now to check up on things because sometimes I get news from Twitter, weirdly
Yeah, for
enough.
sure. It could be great source of news. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like if I don't know. I feel like those people need a hobby, right? You're just gonna go like search through someone's entire Twitter history to find something that is offensive so you can try to like cancel them or get people mad at them or whatever. It's like yeah, I think that we have to offer each other a little bit of grace, right? Don't get me wrong, like some behavior is reprehensible and inexcusable, and I'm not saying that that's a different thing, but like all of us have said dumb stuff at some point in our lives. Like all of us have done something we're like embarrassed about, or like that didn't come out right, or I didn't mean it that way, or whatever. That's very human. So I think if you're looking for that, you're gonna find it from anybody. So like let's give each other a little grace and not just assume like the worst that we all, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Like normal jobs, like if you worked at Walmart, Walmart's not going to fire you for a tweet you said unless it was
Exactly
like,
right. They're not gonna be looking through your tweets. Like they don't care,
yeah,
right?
they don't care. But
No.
like in the Hollywood sort of and whatnot world, that becomes a problem,
Right.
because people can do that and it gets like worldwide news,
Right.
You working
Exactly.
at
This person
Walmart is
can't do
not
it.
worldwide news.
No, because no one cares, right? And again, it's back to clickbait, right? It's like everyone's trying to, sell a headline or whatever, get you to look at their story. So the more salacious they can make something sound, the more scandalous they can make something sound, the more likely you are to click on it. So yeah, it's like just stirring up drama, right?
That's the worst when you say like I see these YouTube videos and they'll say something so dramatic and I'm like, "Oh my God." And then they'll be like, "This was the rumor that I
Right.
heard."
It's a whole lot of nothing, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm like
Okay. Yes.
I'm like it would be I guess it's a slow news day. I don't know, but
Right,
like
right. We're
don't
just gonna
tell me
like hypotheticals. We're just gonna throw them on headlines.
like
I heard that he heard that they heard. It's like that's not news. Come on.
no, no. But they won't even say that. They don't say that in the headline
Yeah.
because they want you to click
No,
on
no,
it
the
because
headline is
they'll
yes.
be like, "This is what happened to this person," and I'll be like, "Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, but no, this really
No.
didn't." But
But it
like
could. It might. Yeah. You're like, what
it
is this?
might happen. Probably not, but you never know. I'm like,
Crazy.
I don't understand any of that. you know.
No,
Uh,
insane.
so you actually like you live and work in Hollywood, right? If I'm correct. So you got to see like the stuff day to day, kind of life and everything. Is it ever like, does it really ever feel like the hustle and bustle that like they kind of make it out to be?
Oh yeah, I think it is very hustle bustly. I think it's also like it is what you make it, right? I think it's really easy for people to kind of get caught up in stuff and like lose perspective and this is an industry with a lot of egos and I think it's really easy to just like get in a spiral where you're like obsessed with yourself. So I think there's things you can do to like mitigate those effects and like, keep yourself grounded and have a little perspective on stuff. I think that's important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have other things that matter in your life and like I help run a nonprofit dog rescue, like volunteering and having people in your life that are going to call you on your shit and keep you grounded and realizing that like yeah, even though this is a passion for us and there's things that are more important, right? Do you know what I mean? Or like there's it's not the only part of life, right?
Well, and I think that happens a lot with like, to go back to sort of the celebrity sort of thing, is a lot of celebrities don't have people who are grounded. They have other people that are just like them. And the problem with that is they're all looking for the same thing.
Yes.
So if they're booking, want to book one part, the other person tries to book the part, and it becomes like, it's not as much fun. But when you do have somebody grounded in your life, when you're just out there working your magic, that can tell you like, hey, calm down a little bit. You're
Yes.
not
Yes.
you're not as special as you think you are. 'Cause I mean, that's what movie is, right? Ego a little bit.
Yeah, it is for sure. Yeah. I mean, and there's so many things that you have to be thinking about all the time that like that I understand how like I understand the trap, that you can fall into in terms of like just thinking about yourself all the time, how you look in this and your latest headshot, your latest footage, and your da da da, and it's all about you. So like I think it's important to take a step back and
Uh,
have other
I
things
love
to
that
worry
you do
about.
dog rescues and stuff.
Yeah,
That's awesome. How'd you get
yeah.
into that?
Oh, I've been volunteering forever. So, I've been an animal lover my whole life. I, grew up with dogs, obviously, and grew up riding horses, and I've loved animals forever. So, in college, I started volunteering at the South LA shelter, one of the city shelters here in LA, and I've just been volunteering ever since. So now I help work with an organization called Angel City Pit Bulls. Um, I adopted my second dog from them, and then I've been doing stuff with them ever since. So we actually occupy a facility that used to be the old South LA shelter. They moved to a larger place. So we're there, a cat rescue is there, and like a low cost vet clinic. And then we're mostly foster based. So most of our dogs are in foster homes, but the facility kind of allows us more flexibility to pull more dogs. It's kind of like a headquarters for us too. I help run play groups for the dogs. I do a lot of adoption counseling. We do a ton of like community outreach and low cost food drives and we do free training and stuff like that. So it's great. I love dogs. Well, the shelters right now, not to get on a whole another tirade, the shelters in the whole country are like beyond suffering, like completely full. Euthanasia rates are way up. You know, largely COVID had a huge effect on the economy. So we're seeing like the implications of that, people losing housing, losing jobs and stuff. So then having to surrender pets. So we're in a rough shape right now. So it's not always very easy work, but it is rewarding and important. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that kind of sucks that right now I didn't know it was in a rough shape.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's really bad. It's like I said, I've been volunteering since college. This is like the so there's been here in LA, there's the No Kill LA movement. So and that's not just here, other cities have it as well, but basically trying to get to a 90% save rate, meaning that 90% of the animals are making it out of the shelter alive. Because the thought being that their medical and behavioral often account for about 10%. So even no kill doesn't mean like healthy adoptable animals aren't being killed. It just means that 90% of animals that come in are making it out of the shelter. And so when I started volunteering, the save rate was like around like a 60 to 70%. And then we've gotten really, really close to 90% for a few years, but it's dropped way back down the past 2 years. So shelters are insanely packed. We have like 2 to 3 dogs in the kennels, and one kennel attendant for one dog. They have pop-up crates like all in the hallways. South LA has a capacity of like 300, and we have about 500 animals there right now. So
oh
that's
wow. So
so obviously
200 like more than
yes.
what
So
you're
we
supposed
like
to have.
Exactly. So you're having all these double dogs in kennels, which, then they can have fights and injure each other. You're having dogs living in crates for months at a time. Obviously, then, we run out of room and dogs have to be euthanized. Well, dogs and cats have to be euthanized for space. So that's crappy all around. So yeah, it's rough shape. So please spay and neuter your pets and adopt. Do not buy from a breeder. That is my spiel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess breeders they get a lot of money, right? So that's why they do
Breeding
it.
is really that's part of the problem that is contributing here in LA, at least. I'm sure probably nationwide. So again, there's a lot of economic factors that come into play. So one kind of quick, easy way to make a buck is to sell some puppies, right? You get your hands on some unfixed dogs and breed them and sell some puppies. So like if you drive around my neighborhood right now, like you'll see signs up for like Australian Shepherd puppies and like Connie Corsos are really popular right now and like whatever. So we're pulling my rescue. We're a pit bull rescue primarily, but we do pull other dogs when they need medical care or the shelter asks us. So I can't tell you the amount of puppies we're seeing right now, litters and litters of puppies, because they get sick with parvo or they dump the injured ones and the ones that come out bad. It's just because backyard bred dogs are often not healthy. They're often not breeding very healthy, sound dogs. So you end up with dogs with a lot of medical problems. So yeah, we're just swimming in puppies, like because there's so much breeding going on.
How are pits like, today? Like, are they? Because I remember a lot of times people were really against pit bulls
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
there's still tons of discrimination against pit bulls, unfortunately. Like you'll see, and sometimes some other breeds too. Sometimes they'll call like they'll have like a power breed restriction, which can include like mastiffs and pit bulls and sometimes Rottweilers or whatever. But yeah, you see a lot of discrimination in terms of apartment buildings not allowing them or homeowners insurance not covering your home if you have a pit bull and stuff. So there's definitely still in discrimination against the breed. I think it's slowly changing and it's improving. But yeah, if you look historically just over decades, there's always like a villain of the time. Like at one point it was like a Doberman was like the villain dog at one point, like a Rottweiler was the villain dog, so pit
I
bulls are
remember
the
when the Doberman was, because I think my parents had a Doberman then,
100%. So
and
now
so.
it's been pit bulls. It's just that pit bulls have been like on their turn on the wheel has been lasting a really long time. So I think opinions are changing. The reality is that pit bulls are dogs. They're dogs. Some they're individuals, just like people are individuals. So there's yeah, you can't apply one blanket rule to like any breed of dog. So yeah, I think we're seeing the stigma slowly change, but it is going slower than obviously people would like, and
Then
everything's
you'd
slowly.
like,
Yeah, of
yeah.
course. Yeah.
And do you own two pit bulls or do
I
you
have,
own?
yeah, well, I have three. We usually have three, but so I adopted my first dog as soon as as soon as I got a house. I was like, yay, time for a dog. So that was 2011. My first dog was Riley. He was from the South LA shelter. He's named after the character in the Boondocks. And then we always wanted another one. So after he like settled and decompressed and stuff, we got a girl named JoJo. So those two have passed away. We usually have three at a time though, but now I just have two I'm fostering, and then when we find a good fit, we'll end up keeping them. So I have Butters and Donkey are my two dogs right now. And
Oh,
and my second iteration, my Jojo, Butters, and Donkey are the dogs in Lexi that people have like very strong opinions on. It's really funny. So if you
oh,
want to see my
that's
dogs,
right. That's
yeah, if you want to
right.
see my dogs, go watch Lexi. But they're great. So I love them. They're the best. They make me so happy. Dogs are delightful. They're like joyous and unconditionally loving and in the moment, they're great. It's like such a great energy to have around.
Hey, you directed a dog in a movie. That's hard, You
Not so
directed three.
right. I just kind of let them do their thing and worked around. But yeah, it is. I love the comments like no dogs would act like this. Like these are the laziest dogs ever. It's so funny. I'm like, those are like my actual dogs, and that's just how they
Yeah,
get down.
they're just
That's how
being
they are.
lazy. They're just being
Yeah,
their themselves.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. Great.
that's funny. Um, if I ever have like my dogs, like I'm watching my sister's dog right now, and
Nice.
she's in the other rooms. Yeah. But if she may jump on the bed at some point
Yeah,
and just jump back off or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah, so I love dogs, like absolutely. I was a dog person. I'm a cat person. I mean, I'm just not a snake person necessarily. Like,
Fair. Yeah,
that.
I'm not a super snake person either. Like, is it a living animal? Then like I like it, but like reptiles are not my. I like lizards. Like they're pretty cool, but snakes are not my super favorite. I could tame
Yeah,
them.
like I'm not gonna go pet a snake. I'm sorry. I don't care how nice you think he is.
Yeah.
I no,
But it might
like,
be. one of my babysitters growing up had a boa constrictor, and she used to have to feed it like the mice. Oh God, that's so traumatic for me because I'm like a lover of furry creatures, and so like watching a snake eat mice is like,
No, I
oh
can't. No, that's another thing. Again, I couldn't. My
no,
cat would kill animals.
yeah,
I don't like that, but
no,
it
yeah.
he doesn't do it as much, or if he does it as much, he doesn't do as much
He
around
doesn't
the
bring it to
house.
you.
Yeah. Oh
He
man, I
hides
had a
them
cat
there.
once that would just. Uh, she would kill the animal, and then my dog would bring it upstairs and leave it by my bed,
Lovely, a little
by
present.
my pillow,
Yeah.
because he
They're
thought,
like, what
oh, she thought, oh, she was
surprise.
doing something nice for me. This is a
Yeah.
little present. I was like, oh.
Yeah. A little something from me to you. You're like, no thanks. Return
So
to
did you
sender.
grow up with dogs?
Yeah, 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 for sure. I go with dogs.
So
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah, dogs and cats and horses, the whole shebang.
Horses.
Yeah, I grew up riding horses. So
Nice.
my family moved to the UK when I was like actually when I was 6 weeks old, and I lived there until I was 5. And my family started riding horses when we lived over there, and then we came over here and still rode horses. So yeah, I used to do like Grand Prix. I did English hunter jumpers, and I did yeah, I was like super competitive, and I loved it. Yeah, I miss that. Somebody put me in a movie with a horse so I can ride again, please. That would be
Yeah, I
amazing.
mean that's something that you can put on your resume.
Oh yeah,
Like,
without a doubt. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's so funny because I have like so horseback riding again. I did it since I could walk. Like I've been riding my whole life. And then like firearms, and I haven't gotten to do either of those in a movie. I'm like, someone put me in a western. Come on, man. So I can
yeah,
ride
you can do
horses and have
firearms
fun.
and
Yes,
you can do the horse stuff. Like,
exactly.
why haven't
I
you
don't
been in a Western
know.
yet?
I don't know. I keep asking the universe. I'm like, you guys, come on,
Well,
put
you
me in.
gotta write it yourself then.
I know I do. Unfortunately, like the money for a western, you need the money.
So I think we found the problem,
Yes, yes,
especially with independent filmmaking, you
yes.
know.
'Cause, you need good set design. You need then you got to deal with horses and firearms. It's a whole extra thing. It's like that's a lot. That's a lot. That's why I just want someone to cast me in it, so I don't have to worry about the producer parts.
You don't have to worry about the
Cast me.
producing part. You just walk in there and see
Yes.
that's the thing I realized when I acted, because I act in other people's stuff sometimes, and it's so
Yep.
much fun
Oh my God.
because
Yes.
I don't have to
Not
like,
your problem. The best
yeah.
part is not your problem, right?
All I have to do is
Amazing.
like you point me where I need to be,
Yep.
and that's it.
I
And
love
then
it.
I don't have to tell you guys anything. I don't have to say anything. I can shut my mouth and just enjoy being on set. And that's actually what saved me from leaving the industry,
Yep.
actually. Because at one point I was just like, I'm done. I just want to be a screenwriter, and that's
Yep.
it. Not a producer, not a director, not anything else. Like just screenwriter. That's it. All I have to do
Yep.
is write, and then somebody else can go make the mess, and everything.
Exactly.
And then I acted in something and had so much fun on the
Yeah.
set, and I was like, this is it. Like I don't want to give this up.
Totally.
So I always thank my friend Robert Elkins. He's a director, and he
Nice
put me in
for
a
putting me in.
short film that just pretty much made me excited to make stuff,
I
again and
love it.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's something magical about being on set, right? Like it is great. But yeah, it is. Like when I started, writing and producing and directing and stuff, it's like now when I get hired to act, it's like, oh my God, it feels like so easy because it's like one thing, I have one thing to worry about. It's, compared to when I'm doing my projects, it's like nothing.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you don't have but do you ever like have a problem where because you are a producer now and you have produced things that you sort of look at things and then you're
Oh,
like I want to go in there and change that, you know?
yes, I more notice like like I'm very aware when things are going wrong. You know how usually like they'll try to hide. Like I'm very aware of like what's going on, and I'm very aware of like how I would do things, but it's not my problem. So I like
So you just wash your hands of it? Like
yes,
it's that
totally.
easy for you?
Like yeah, it really kind of is because it's like it's not my problem, right? I'm just there to act, so I do my damnedest and I do my best work as an actress, and that's all I got to worry about. Like the rest of it isn't on me, right? It's not. It's obviously if somebody like asked me for my opinion or like for help on something, I'm not a total dick. I wouldn't be like, ugh, I'm not. But usually they don't. They don't. It's like you're the talent. Go sit over there, right? So it's like fine. That's what I'll do. I'll go sit over here, and when things are going wrong, it's not my problem.
By the way,
Yeah.
the lighting up above you makes you look like an angel, like you have
Oh,
a little
nice. My
halo on
little
your
ring
head.
light.
I just noticed that. I was like, wait a minute, it looks like you're an angel right now,
That's amazing. I'll take it.
telling everybody everything. But yeah, I want to go back to like, yeah, to acting, period.
Yeah.
Like, so that's your number one thing, right? Like that's
Yeah, yeah, like that's what I started with, right? That was my first love, I guess we could say. And then I started writing because I was just kind of dissatisfied with the opportunities I was getting as an actress and the roles I was playing. So I was like, I guess if I want to, play some dope ass characters, I got to write them myself. So then, after the writing came all the other stuff, right? The producing and the directing and all the hats you have to wear. So, yes, I do love writing though. I think writing is so challenging. I think writing is the hardest thing to do, the hardest part of it all. Writers are the only ones making something from nothing. Everybody else is building their vision on top of what the writers have created. So yeah, I find that very challenging but very rewarding. But yes, acting is probably my favorite. Producing I'm very good at, but like I don't necessarily like it. I like being in charge
mhm.
and I like being able to set the tone for my set and like treat people well and hire good people and assemble the whole thing and whatever. But like yeah, I would be happy to have other people do that, and not have to.
Yeah, you'd rather have somebody else like, well,
Yes.
and it's funny because I've heard like a phrase where somebody said like they would be there's a producer, right? And they would write if they had the time.
Mm,
They would be the writer if they had the time, or whatever. And
yeah.
producers don't have the time to do anything but produce
Anything.
generally.
It is so much work. Yes. Yeah. And I think some people don't really understand what a producer is. And I think because there's so many, well, first of all, there's different kinds of producers. And secondly, unfortunately, you can kind of get producer credit without actually doing anything. So I think there's kind of a misconception that producers don't do anything. But if you're actually the one producing, you are doing everything, right? You're like the project manager of that movie or that TV show or that whatever. Like you are making it all happen. So it's so much work at every step of the, process.
I showed somebody my IMDb once, and
Yeah.
this was a guy who was um he was looking for somebody to be um Daniel Radcliffe's stand-in, and
Uh-huh.
so they were like, "Can you send me your?" Well, it was before then. I just wanted to be a. It was for a movie called Imperium. It was shot in Richmond, and they
Uh-huh.
wanted me to just be a. I just wanted to be a KKK member. That was it. Like I was like, that would be fun. I could shave my head, have an
Oh my God.
excuse to shave my head, whatever, and I don't care. It would be kind of cool, whatever. So I sent them the message, and they looked
Okay.
at my IMDb, and they were like, wow, are you sure you want to be an extra in this? Whatever. And I was like thinking, if you want to give me a part, but
Yeah,
I
you're
didn't
like,
say
yeah.
that, but they
Yeah.
were
They were just
like,
like, yeah,
because
you're
they
too
looked at my
qualified.
thing. I had a lot more stuff than just being an extra. I actually have like I've acted in a bunch of different stuff, so
Yeah.
it's not like, and most of it's not extra work. But at least I don't put that on IMDb. I don't know if
Yeah.
you do or not, but I try not to
No,
put a
I mean, I
lot
don't
of
do
that on
background
there
work, but
because
yeah, in general, background work wouldn't be listed on IMDb. It's only like principal roles. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that guy ended up telling me I got the role as a stand-in, even though I was a couple inches shorter than Daniel, and
Hey, you got more
then
money, so rock on.
but then never contacted me again.
Oh,
It's
never
like I
mind.
found out from my agent that he had found somebody else. They had found
Got
somebody
it.
else, but they
Somebody
never
taller.
like because I wrote to them back going, "Hey, I'll still be a KKK member, just send me the information, to come out or whatever." So that didn't end up
It's
happening. It kind
it's
of
a
sucked,
flaky,
but
it's a flaky biz.
but it's cool. I figured I'm a more positive person on things. I figure, oh man, the next time I actually meet Daniel Radcliffe, I'll be directing him, so it'll be okay.
Love it. Love that
Right?
attitude.
Like you
Yes.
have to have that kind of attitude, especially when
Yes.
you're doing auditions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was like, was there an audition that you were just so disappointed you didn't get?
Oh, so many, so very many,
What
so
comes to
very
mind?
many. So I got to do okay, so in back in the day, a few years ago, like when we had more normal pilot seasons, so pilot season would run from kind of like January to March, and it's when they're casting for the new shows that are coming out. So casting offices will do what they call pre-reads, which are like very early auditions in the casting process. And a lot of times they will bring in actors that they know will do a good job so they can see the material done well before they're like figuring out what names they want to offer it to, kind of a deal. So a lot of times, yeah, a lot of times you kind of are doing these pre-reads knowing that there's offers on the table to like people and you're probably not going to get it. And so that happens. So there was the office that had cast me in Dexter, and they brought me in to do a pilot for called You're the Worst. Um, and it was the role of Gretchen, and I freaking loved that role so hard. Aya Cash got it eventually, and she's freaking amazing in it. But yeah, I like wanted that role so bad. There was also there was there's been so many. I try to not think about this, and now you're like making me like
Oh,
judge myself.
sorry, because
No,
it's
no,
like
no,
these are
it's
bringing
fine.
up bad
Yeah,
memories in a
yeah,
way.
yeah. Because you're trying to let it go. Like you're trying to like there was this guest star in Atlanta that I wanted that they ended up changing it actually like drastically from the script that I had, but I really wanted to be on Atlanta so bad. I was very curious about like working with Donald Glover and what that set was like and stuff. And that yeah, the role originally as written was like wacky and wild and so fun. It ended up being very different in the finished product, but I really wanted that. Oh, there's been so many. There's so many things. There's so many things all the time. Yes.
Yeah, kind of
Yep.
sucks. I mean, to think about,
Mhm.
but then again, it's one of those things where, like, I just heard that Jack Nicholson was up for the role of the old man in Christmas Story.
Oh, and Christmas Story.
Yeah, in a Christmas Story. So he was
Interesting.
up for that role that Darren McGavin ended up getting.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, no, no, I can't see anybody but Darren McGavin playing that
Yeah, there's
role.
a very interesting it's I think it's for the characters of The Office where they do all the auditions of all the actors who read for the characters in The Office, and it's so interesting to see. I mean, that's the thing, like obviously I cast in for the projects that I'm writing and producing myself. So like it's not always about like the person who comes in and does the best performance because you're like trying to fit all these pieces together, right? So sometimes somebody comes in and like their essence is just so right for how you saw that character that it doesn't really have anything to do with obviously you want their acting to be good and hopefully it has to be at a certain level, but like sometimes somebody can come in and just do an amazing job but they're not right for the person, they're not right for that role, right? And you can't control that as an actor, so that's part of what makes it so challenging is because like so many of the reasons that you don't book a role don't have anything to do with you, they don't have anything to do with your talent or your work ethic or your anything, it's just like how those pieces fit together and the essence of that character, like whether you like embody that or don't. And you can't know that, so yeah, that's one of the, that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because how can you I mean, do you know like how an actor can show essence on a Zoom thing? Like, is there a way to do that?
No, I mean, I think your essence is your essence, right? You're bringing it with you no matter where you are.
Are you sure?
So
Because like Zoom, I feel like is a completely different thing than like in person. Like in person, you can kind of feel the vibe in a way or whatever. But during Zoom, necessarily sometimes I feel like you can't, as much.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I get it. Like I'm a person who liked being in the room as well, but I think people kind of sometimes I think your work is your work, and like the choices you make and the point of view you have on stuff is going to come through whether it's Zoom or not Zoom. Do you know what I mean? I think as
Right.
far as like from casting so that's from an actor's perspective. Like I'm not worrying about the fact that I'm not in the room. Like I'm going to deliver like a solid performance. I'm going to make my choices. I'm going to have strong opinions on things. My work is going to be good. So like it doesn't matter where I am if I'm in the room or on Zoom. But from a casting standpoint, uh I would absolutely want to have at least a phone call with a person if I've never met them in person, to make sure that they're not like crazy or a total jerk, uh, because that you can't tell, right? Like that you don't know. So I would always do that in addition to like uh, the actual audition, you know?
Creepy or a jerk? Like, have you had that like sort of incidences where creepy people come to audition for your film, like Lexi or something?
I've had, yeah, I'm not, I mean, just like weird actors or like ego or difficult to work with or can't take direction or all those things. Yeah, for sure. Are you kidding? Yes, there's a lot of actors that are challenging in many ways.
Well,
Um,
I know, but I'm just
yeah,
saying, like,
so for sure. So I will always like again, usually when I back before COVID, I would do first round self tape and then I would have callbacks in person. And I would just usually have them do an additional scene or give a redirect and make sure that they can take direction. Or I would at least have a phone call with somebody to get us if their body of work was really strong, I would definitely want to have a phone call with them to make sure like we're gonna get along and whatever. Because the vibe on set is so important, and one asshole on your set can just totally ruin it. So I think it's so important. And that's again one of those factors that comes into it. Like I will take a slightly less talented actor that is nice and easy to work with over a more talented actor that is difficult every time, every single time, because that is so much more important to the atmosphere on my set. And I'm going to get a good performance out of a good actor, right? So like when you're like, talking about good versus great or whatever, I will take the good actor that is easy to work with over the great actor that's a dick every time.
It's funny when they're bad actors and they're a dick. Then that's just easy.
There are a lot of those, unfortunately. But yes, that is, you wonder like how, you really wonder sometimes, you're like,
Well, I
how.
mean, because like once again, it goes to we live in a world right now where anybody can make a movie. So anybody could cast themselves in any movie, can, put themselves up or you were even talking earlier about producers. I know people who that's all they do is pay for producer perks, and then they go around and say I'm a
I'm a
producer. And
producer.
I'm like,
They've never
you're
done anything.
you've
Yeah.
never produced anything.
No, I
You've
hate
just
credit only producer. I hate that. I feel like it like devalues the work that real producers do. It's like because it's so much work, you know?
I remember when I was talking to a friend and she was sort of new to the industry and everything, and we were working on a project and we were gonna do an Indiegogo for the project. And I was like, well, we gotta get these producers. And she goes, wait a minute, producers? What do you? No, no, we're the producers. Nobody else is. And I was like, well, we can't do the Indiegogo because like what perks are we gonna give people that are people are actually gonna buy,
For
because
sure. Yeah,
unfortunately
I get
that's
it.
what they buy,
I
you
get
know?
it. And I understand the hustle as a filmmaker for sure. I just yeah, it's just like I think that contributes to like the misconception of like producer not doing anything, right? Because
No,
like, yeah,
and I
most
agree. I
producers and name credit
100%,
only.
but
Yeah.
it's,
Necessary evil for if you're doing a crowdfunder.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's sort of sucks because then, yeah, then people get an ego about, well, because, I paid this amount of money. I'm like, well, that's your fault, dude. Like,
Yep.
I'm sorry you paid like whatever to be a producer. You don't get any say on anything,
Right.
you know?
Exactly. You're getting
It's
producer credit. That's what you're
that's
getting.
it. That's
Sure.
just the credit.
Yep.
But it doesn't, it
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yes. Yes.
So, okay, so take me to a day in the life of Victoria Vertuga. Like,
Oh my
what
God.
do you like? What's your normal day life like?
There's no normal day, right? It varies. So I don't know, like today. So Monday I have acting class. So I treat acting class like the gym, right? It's like if you want to stay in shape, you got to keep going to the gym. You can't just go to the gym and be like, I'm done now, you got to keep at it. It's like acting gym for me. So I love my class. It's fantastic. Such talented actors. It's great. So yeah, I have that on Mondays, and then I came back and we're getting stuff, doing some ad campaigns and stuff for Cold Blows the Wind. So did some busy producery duties on that. And then I had another podcast at 4, and then I stuffed my face real quick in between, and now I'm talking to you. So that's today. But tomorrow will be different. It's yeah, it's a mix, right? You never know when an audition's popping up. Really quick turnaround times lately. So yeah, a lot of times I'll, have to fit that into. A lot of times I'll be coming home from like a print gig, and then I gotta, audition that's due in the morning, and I gotta get my self tape set up and get that in. And yeah, it's a lot of that. And then again, like I mentioned, I help run the dog rescue, so I'm volunteering. I'm doing shifts at our facility a couple times a week. Um, yeah, we have a lot of events and stuff that we have for that. So if I'm available, I'm obviously helping out with that stuff too. I also have a consulting company, not a consulting business, where I help actors who are looking to get into producing their own projects and don't know where to start and stuff. So I help them figure that out and navigate that. So I do that as well. Um,
That's really nice.
yeah, it's great. It's super satisfying. I love it. It's really fun. It's really cool to see someone's project come to life, or like they come to you and they're like nervous and they want to do it and they don't know where to start. And then, to see them like through that process and see them create something and be really proud of it is amazing. I think it's so empowering. Like for me, when I started producing and writing, that was one of the best things that I got from it, is like feeling empowered. Like I don't just need to be at the mercy of other people's decisions and other people's perceptions, right? Like I have some control over my own career and my own stuff. So I like to give that to actors. I think it's great. I think it makes you better in whatever you do. I think the
Right.
more you understand all the pieces of the puzzle, like the more you understand all the various positions in this business, the better you are at whatever you're doing. It makes you just a better collaborator. Um, so yeah, that's really satisfying and rewarding as well. I also do some like acting coaching and stuff like that with people, and yeah, so every day is just a mishmash, and then writing obviously, and then yeah, usually still stuff to do on my past projects, advertising or whatever, what have you. So yeah, it's like a mishmash of all those things.
That's awesome. You know, how many like are I don't know if you monitor this, but like how many pages do you generally try to write a day?
It varies hugely because again, my schedule is weird, and so I often it's not ideal for writing because I don't necessarily have like big chunks of time, depending on the day. Like I'll have windows, between like class and audition and this and that. So I just try to be productive with what the time that I have. So again, it varies super widely, depending on all kinds of stuff and like where you're on the process, right? Like a lot of times you're doing your pre-writing and figuring out your outline and doing all that kind of stuff. So, or sometimes you're cranking out something and like it gets stuck and you need to go back and rework the outline or rework other things when you get there in the process of the writing. You're like, this isn't working. So yeah, I feel like when you're stuff, when you know very clearly what you're doing, like the pages come easy, but it's you got to know where you're going. Once you know
Right.
what to write, the writing comes easy, right?
I mean, do you write treatments and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay. I hated treatments for the longest time. I'm not gonna lie.
I hate
I
pre-writing.
was
I
one
hate
of those
all of it.
guys that are just like fever dream write it and everything. But
100%. I'm same. I never before screenwriting, like, talking about like essays in college and all that kind of stuff, like I and short stories and whatever, I was never a pre-writer. But I think because screenplays are such an unforgiving form and in such an art form of scarcity, like every word matters and like every page matters and the white space is so important and you don't have time to dick around. Like in a novel,
mm,
you can like get where you're going and no one cares how long it takes you to get there. But like in a screenplay, like you don't have the luxury of time. And so I think like it's the structure is so important. So I think you have to. And I still struggle with that. Like I said, writing for me, I think writing is very, very hard to be very good at it. Like screenwriting is a very like unforgiving art, like you have to hit what you have to hit and you have X number of pages to do it and like everything matters. So I think you have to know where you're going. You know
hmm.
what I mean? Yeah. It's
Oh
I think
yeah.
act one, I could write a 9 million act ones in 10 seconds right now. But like, because that's like the setup of everything. Like the setup is so easy, but like the middle, then you gotta write your story, right? Like you gotta know where you're going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would write like a treatment and then I would end up going off the treatment and like going on my own thing and then I have to like
Go
reel
back.
myself back in or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
because it just was I'm just so bad at that. But I've got ADHD, so like when I write, I sort of write like that. And but I think working like because I work with a partner, a
Yep.
lot of times it helps, me
100%.
because do you like working with a partner?
Yeah, I think when you have a good partnership, working with a writing partner is amazing. Yeah. So I have a partner that I work with a lot. We're kind of like, we call ourselves like outcast, right? Like he'll do things on his own, I'll do things on my own, and we'll do things together. But I think writing can be such a lonely thing that it's just amazing to have another person to bounce ideas off of and like, you know, talk through something when you're feeling stuck or whatever. Like I think it's huge. It's hugely helpful. It's why like the idea of a writer's room for TV makes so much sense, right? Like people bouncing ideas and like everybody contributing something to it because it creates more energy and more possibilities for it. Because when it's just you and your laptop, chugging away on something, it's like a very lonely kind of thing to do.
Again, weirdly enough, I like to do it at night,
Mhm.
when it's probably the loneliest then
Yeah,
too, like
yeah,
but I like that because then I'm by myself. I can just sit back and just
your
like
zone.
midnight writing, is probably one of my favorite things to do because it's just, at that time, like my brain is ready to go to bed. And
Yeah,
so that's when I think I feel like I give my best, stuff because I'm like,
interesting.
you
Yeah,
know, weirdly enough.
yeah.
So I mean, and so you said you don't really have a time or anything. You just whatever you can fit
No,
into
my
your
schedule is
schedule.
so random that it's like when I have time, I gotta fit it in when I have
Well,
time.
I mean, it's like acting where, the more you do it, the more practice, the more better, and but the
It
less
keeps
you do it, the more you need to get back to doing it.
100%. And that's how it's been. Like this year was not like a super sorry, my light just started. It was not like a super productive year writing wise for me. Ooh, that okay, let's not have a seizure. Okay, there we go. Um, because I was so focused on the post-production stuff of Cold Was the Wind and like getting the all the producer duties. So it's also like different parts of your brain, right? So I have to also tell myself to like shut up the producer brain sometimes when I'm writing because I'm already worrying about like how are we gonna afford that or da da da. Which is why it's also so nice when I write something that I'm not gonna make, like when I'm writing something that's just like a sample or a spec or whatever for somebody else, because it's not my problem, like how they're gonna pay for it or how like expensive it's gonna be to make it. But when I'm writing something that I'm gonna produce, I also have to be cognizant of like the amount of locations and the amount of cast members and like we can't afford that effect and da da da, da and all these things, right? So sometimes when I'm writing my like it can be hard to have space for like the creativity that's needed to write when I'm like worrying about the producer stuff. So I have to be like, producer Vic, like be quiet, go away now. Like this is we'll worry about that later. Let's write now. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because like a lot of times, especially when you're writing an independent film, you're thinking of the budget and stuff, and you're
100%.
thinking, like I can't
Absolutely.
afford that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of like that happens so often. Like when we first are looking at even our own projects, when it comes time to like actually move forward and we're in pre-production or whatever, it's like, yeah, looking at the script and looking at like what can we eliminate or what do we need to eliminate because we can't afford these things or that's going to not be worth, the cost of this isn't worth the ROI it's going to give us and all that kind of stuff. Like so many of the decisions you make are based on that. You know what I mean?
Hmm. No, absolutely. So, also I want to talk real quick about the actor strike is over and the
Yeah.
writer
Yeah.
strike. So,
Yeah. Both of them.
are
Yeah.
you extremely happy to get back to work?
I am happy to get back to work. I'm not, hmm. I think that there's still some things to work out. Like it'll be interesting to see how things go like between now and the next time we negotiate contracts because I don't think that it was quite as like rock solid as some people wanted it to be in a few ways. So I'm curious to see what it will look like what things will look like kind of going forward. I also think we're kind of in a period of contraction right now in the business. So I'm curious to see also like what is this pilot season going to look like and just what are the opportunities that are coming out and how are things different and whatever. So yeah, definitely happy to be back to work. Like, happy that we have uh achieved some significant things, both writers and actors and for everybody. But curious to like what things will just look like going forward. You know what I mean?
Like the AI situation? I
Yeah,
know
there's AI
that's
stuff and there's some interesting language on a few things. It's also just it's kind of I don't know. We're so far from where we need to be that it's like kind of just depressing. Like if you look at the numbers, like what we've got, like the increases in streaming and residuals and whatnot, it's like it's still so far from what we used to make when it was on network that it's like hard to be excited about it, if that makes any
well,
sense. Like we're
I'm
talking
just
about like a
scared because
base
it's
of
only
like
2 years, right? So
yeah,
in 2 more years, you guys may go on strike again.
yeah, I hope not. But
I hope
yes,
not too, but like,
yeah,
I guess
that's
it's all depending on how things go right
how
now
things
with,
go for sure, for
and
sure.
I wanted to touch real quick about the AI situation because if I'm correct on everything, does that mean like they're gonna ask you once you get to like um a studio or something to record whatever that they can record you as an AI or whatever, and if you disagree with like this is what I heard, like if you disagree that they will and I may be wrong, but then they could say no, we don't want to cast you in this movie or TV
Yeah,
show.
that is that the language is basically kind of like that. Like not okay, so the reality, I don't know, whatever. Everything's changing so much. The reality is that it's still very expensive to do these digital replicas. So I don't think that that's something we should like be like, "Oh, it's fine. It's really expensive to do that" because it changes so quickly and like it won't be so expensive to do that forever. But basically a production is allowed to be like, "Hey, AI is a requirement of this." And you as an actor can be like, "No, I don't agree to that." But then, yeah, the reality is they're just going to go hire somebody who is okay with that. So you have the right to be notified of it and you have the right to turn the job down. But like,
You turn the job down, you may not have work. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So what does that really like get us? And the language too is very, yeah, like again, I'm not trying to be down on whatever. Like I appreciate the hard work our negotiating committee did, and I appreciate the gains that we're trying to make. But I just think that there still is some concerning language around that and a few other things that's very like best efforts and like we'll make a reasonable effort and stuff like that. And it's just putting a lot of trust. Like that means nothing and effectively like when you're saying language like that, right?
Right.
There's no
Yeah,
actual
it's a little
control.
scary. And I
Yeah,
think
it's a
that was
little
what a
weird.
lot of the I don't know, 30% or whatever it was that disagreed sort of and
Right,
everything,
that
but
didn't
then
vote on. Yeah, that didn't vote. Yeah, that
that
voted
didn't
for.
vote for it or
Yeah.
whatever, but it got approved. And so
Fact, yeah, we just need a simple majority. And like the reality is that like the SAG negotiating committee, most of them were behind it. And SAG has a very strong like propaganda arm, like no offense, but they were like pushing it hard, right? They felt like it was good, so they wanted the membership to pass it. So like I always knew it was gonna pass, whether I voted yes or no. I knew it was gonna be a segment of people that did not vote it through, but all they needed was 50% plus one, so they were gonna get that. Like I feel like they were always gonna get that. because they were the ones pushing it. So yeah, but I don't know. I'm not super stoked on it. Even the language around self tapes and stuff, and like it's like again, it's a lot of like best efforts and stuff like that that means nothing. Like a lot of stuff that means nothing. To me anyway, the language. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you just don't know.
You
And
just don't
that's the
you just
scary
don't
thing about going into 2024 and more is that like you just have no clue right now. Like
Yeah.
what's what. So
Yeah.
I'm a little worried, but I'm also I mean like I just I mean I like as far as writing too, AI and everything is just scaring the crap out of
It's
me.
terrifying.
Because like I don't know if I would get a studio job like if I was lucky enough to get a studio job and they were like, okay, now type this into AI and then go fix the script that they
100%. No one
wrote.
wants to do that. No one wants to be fixing
I mean, I'm gonna be a script doctor for a
yeah.
machine,
Yeah, no one
like
wants
that
that.
doesn't sound any fun.
Yeah. And I mean, we
And
already have, I feel like, uh, look, like what makes stories compelling is like the specificity of somebody's point of view, the specificity of their experiences, and like through that specificity, we all see our own stuff in it, right? There's like a beauty that the more specific you are, the more relatable you become, and it's like that heart that makes something compelling that it's like you already kind of see when I feel like writers and creators are making stuff that they think people want versus that they feel passionately about. It already shows like it already feels like it has no soul. So can you imagine the amount like the stuff that will come out that it's actually written by AI that literally has no soul, like how bad that's gonna be? It's just gonna feel so weird. You know what I mean? It's like in video game or like animation, they have the uncanny valley where like the closer you get to looking human, the weirder it starts to seem to your eye because it's still not quite right, right? It's called the uncanny valley. Like, so I feel like that's with writing. It's like it's gonna feel so wrong because it's like lacks a soul. You know what I mean? It's yeah,
well, I
it's
mean,
weird.
people are already complaining about Hollywood lacking soul.
That's what I'm saying. You already see
Yeah,
that because you already see people doing the cash grabs and like you're watching stuff on Netflix and you're like, damn, what algorithm wrote this freaking thing? You know what I mean? So
but
like
it's not. But it's actually, I think, as far as I know, they're actually writers doing it. And
they
then
are, but yeah,
so,
exactly.
but it's the problem is like originally it was writers who, the writers wrote it, and then the producers pick pick at it or
Yes,
whatever
yes,
and then tell the writers this is what we need because of this and this and then they go and rewrite it and make it the way that the producers want it. Then the
right.
director comes in and the director comes in and unless you're Uwe Boll has his cast come in and then start
Yep.
taking it apart, so eventually you get like a you get a film that is just completely written by committee and
It's
not
like
written
it's
by
gonna
a
tell its own.
writer,
Yeah.
and it's going to be like AI is going to be included in that now, and everything. And so I feel like that's just not going to that's not going to be any fun. I think
No.
we're going to see a big I bet once they start really experimenting with it, they'll see how bad it's coming off and how people are just not interested in that.
Hopefully that's
And
the case. Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Yeah, it's a weird time, right? Like we're living in like literally like a cautionary sci-fi tale. It's like very weird. So we'll see. I hope we can pull it together. Come on, humans.
it's
Get
like
your shit
something out of
together.
Blade Runner.
For
Um,
real. For
for
real.
real. Yeah. And we've already had like the big disease thing,
Yep.
and
Yep.
everything. We
I
just need
know.
flying cars. Like, and
Yeah, exactly. I think
I
we got gypped
sadly I
out,
don't think that's ever going to exist, but
right? We got gypped out
you
of
know,
the cool one.
yeah, somebody make I mean, Elon Musk is trying so hard to get us into space. Just get us in the
That's a
air.
hi,
Like
man.
driving in the air. Like I'd be okay with that. But
Absolutely.
anyway, so yeah, I thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
So
for having
Cold
me.
Blows the Wind, like tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more, like where can we find that?
Yeah,
Like
so
what's going on with that?
we're doing an exclusive release for the first few months straight from our website so that we can get a little bigger piece of the pie. Like your money will go directly to us, the filmmakers, so we can keep making more movies. So you can rent and download it at coldblowsthewindfilm.com. We also have DVDs for sale, some of them signed by me and Jamie Bernadette, who's also in the film. We have some merch and stuff too. So we're gonna be doing that for a while for the first couple months, and then it'll be like, on all the standard platforms a little bit later in the year. So yeah, we want to take this little chunk in the beginning so we can get the most bang for our buck and try to recoup our costs and make some money as filmmakers because it is
So how
it's
long
a
is that going to be?
It'll be up there for like 3 months at least. And then before we'll start hitting the platforms a little bit later in the year. Because
Okay.
yeah, if the like the returns for filmmakers when you're on, Tubi and AVOD services, you're getting like 0.1 penny per view. So it takes a whole lot of views to make your money back, as you can imagine.
Well, actually, I've heard like Tubi though with the ads and stuff, they get a little bit more because of the ads and stuff because you have to watch
No, I
like
mean that's what it comes down to though. You're making like about point one. You're making under $1 per view on
yeah.
even on TV, and it varies widely depending on the film itself and the ad and what they deem the ad space worth and whatever. But yeah, so it's not that it's just you're getting like a fraction of $1 each view.
And the worst part is if it doesn't even reach like an hour or something, you don't get anything. So
Anything.
if
Yep.
you have to make a really good movie to
Yep.
like attain people's attention because if
Yes.
people don't want to watch the whole hour, hour and a half, whatever, they won't. We've gotten to a time period right now where there's so much content out there
So
that
much.
and people have me and my friend were watching a movie and we're like, we don't like this. So then we watched something else. We're like, we don't like this. And I was like, man, we can't find anything to watch. And he was like, I'm not wasting my precious life on something I don't like,
Yeah,
and everything.
totally.
And I was
And there's
like,
so many other choices, right? There's so many other things to do with your time. So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, sure.
So there you go. So if
Yeah.
and Tubi and other places. So it'd be great to see you guys on Tubi
Yeah.
or uh HBO Max,
Oh my God, yes,
whatever.
absolutely. Yes. It'd be great to be on HBO Max. Yes, I would love that. I would love to have my own series on HBO Max someday soon. So yes, that would be the ultimate goal. But yeah, in the meantime, you guys can watch Lexi and Disgraced on Tubi and Amazon and all the usual spots. But
Yeah.
if you want to support the filmmakers a little bit more, you can go to Kobo's The Win Film and get
Yeah,
everything.
we talked about Lexi on the last
Yeah.
interview and everything and how much I enjoyed it and like everybody seriously check it out on Tubi because it's so funny.
Thank you.
Um, it's funny and it's scary at the same time. Like there's good moments to it and then it's like very it's got some really sort of disturbing ideas for what how social media
Yes.
influencers could
That's
be.
our niche, disturbing ideas. That's what we bring to you.
That should be like your
Productions. Yes, exactly. This is our
company's
production.
tagline.
Disturbing ideas. I like it. I like
Disturbing
it.
ideas. All right. It works.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Victoria, and everybody else. Check her out.
Pleasure.
Where can they find you?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me. I'm just at Victoria Vertuga, my whole name on all the platforms, except for not TikTok yet, but maybe one day. But yeah, you'll find me on everything else at Victoria Vertuga.
Everybody thinks like TikTok's the dancing and singing or whatever thing. It's not that
Yeah.
anymore. Like it's a completely different thing now.
Yeah, there's
no,
like
I,
everything. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, people are always sending me TikTok stuff to watch. Like I understand. I just haven't,
People send
dealt
you
with it.
TikToks to, well,
Yeah,
see,
all
that's
the
why you
time.
have the account, right? Because you
Yeah.
have one, it just says
Yes.
like zero followers and
Yes.
zero
Zero anything. Yeah.
zero anything,
It's
zero
like
posts.
incognito, like no one knows it exists.
Well, I mean, you could find you if you look you up, and then I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I
wait a minute, what is
know.
she doing? She's wasting her TikTok here. Come
No,
on,
I
just
know,
put
I
your reel
know,
up there or
I
something,
know. Wow, right, fine. We'll
something, you know. See what? She won't be on TikTok for another year.
seriously, gotta beat me down a little bit more
Mm.
and then maybe peer pressure me in.
No, I don't know. I'm done with peer pressure because I've getting
Yeah,
peer
yeah,
pressured to join everything. But TikTok's fun. I didn't think
yeah,
TikTok would be fun, and then I kind of got into it. So,
yeah. Fair, fair,
you
fair.
know, it's good for my podcast. That's about it.
Yeah, I love
Like
it.
that's all I use it for clips. So thank you so much, and
Good.
everybody go check her stuff out, and definitely check out Lexi, and go to coldblowsthewin.com,
Colboswinfilm.com. Yes.
film.com.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Go check that out. I'll put the links down in the bottom too, so you guys can check those out. So
Thank you.
that hope you guys have a good one, and thank you so much. Bye.